Hello and welcome to our presentation. We are Gabriela, Bejarano, and Becerra, and we're going to talk about Black people stereotypes.
So, for starters, we have all heard about stereotypes, right? But do we really know the meaning of this word? In case you were wondering, stereotypes are some sort of inference about a certain person or group of people. This means that stereotyping is basically assuming that this group of people share the same characteristics or abilities without previous research or knowledge on the subject. We can also call stereotyping a way of simplification of the social world we live in, because it basically reduces the processing of information. Clearly, this subject has advantages and disadvantages, which we will explain a little bit for you to get more context. They may be beneficial in a pressured environment where you need to make a quick judgment or make a quick decision. On the other side, the negative effect could be that you're probably doing a misguided assumption that is nothing but ignorant. All of this is in some way linked to prejudices, but what is a prejudice? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a prejudice is a preconceived judgment or opinion or leaning formed without just grounds or before sufficient knowledge. Prejudices include common features that can be negative feelings, stereotype beliefs, and the tendency of discrimination. In society, prejudices are mainly based in race, religion, sex, culture, and some others. Now, we will move on to something more specific. A clear example of stereotype is the one that is held against Black people. In case you were not aware of it, here is a brief explanation involving everything that goes around this issue and the backgrounds of it. So basically, racism in general has been around since the beginning of times, when slavery took place and later on with the processes of colonization in African countries where basic human decency was seriously lacking. All of this could be considered as the roots of the stereotype that Black people are in some way inferior. One of the most influential racial stereotypes against Black people was Jim Crow, where the infamous blackface was originated. This was brought to theatrical stage in the early 19th century, whose creation is acknowledged to T.D. Rice, which took inspiration from an old Black man dancing in the street. During that time, a law prohibited African Americans from dancing because it was said to be crossing your feet against the Lord. Weird, isn't it? But well, the popularity of this show continued, so it led to at least 30 full-time blackface minstrel companies performing across the nation in the decades preceding and following the Civil War. Jim Crow then became some sort of official image of the Black man in the mind of the white Western world. Some other examples of racial stereotypes that are easy to identify are Sambo and the Coon caricature, an animated, misguided representation of Black people, where the two differ subtly but importantly. Sambo was depicted as a perpetual child not capable of living as an independent adult, and the Coon acted childish but was indeed an adult. And like Sambo and the Coon, there are plenty more examples as the Savage, the Mammy, Aunt Jemima, Sapphire, and Jezebel. There were just similar ways of denigrating Black people. After reviewing this, we can surely say that these stereotypes really played a role in society and discrimination without any valid or fair reasons. But after explaining all of this, how does it affect people? Multiple experiments have led to the conclusion that this type of situations are often led by an internalized idea or prejudice depending on the person we are seeing in front of us. Starting in the personal area, it's important to mention that the exposure to media that every human experiences on a daily basis really affects one's perception of multiple aspects. For example, researchers stated that prolonged TV exposure causes a decrease in a girl's and Black boys' self-esteem, while it uplifts a white boy's self-esteem. This leaves us at a point where it is more than clear that these racial issues have a negative impact on society members that are as valuable as any other. Moving on to the professional and educational area, here the stereotype is promoted by structural racism, where the dominant group uses structural racism not only to obtain resources such as unemployment and wages, but also to limit the non-dominant group access to these resources. We can see this with the facts stated about the inequality of salaries and wages across America, where we will mainly focus on studies comparing African American women with Caucasian men. African American women with some college get paid $15.58 an hour, compared to $22.51 an hour for Caucasian men with some college. In fact, African American women with some college get paid only 42 cents more an hour than Caucasian men without a high school degree. African American women with an advanced degree, such as master's degree, make $7 less per hour than Caucasian men with a bachelor's degree and $17 less per hour than Caucasian men with an advanced degree. Talking on educational issues, quoting Newman, racial bias in our school affects student learning and school discipline, as well as influences how students engage with each other. Negative racial attitudes and behaviors are ingrained in our system and institutions.
These are some organizations that we found that help the Black people community: the Black Lives Matter Global Network, the Black PAC, and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. They are organizations whose mission is to build local power and intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities, to change economic justice and political systems, and find equality of rights in order to eliminate race-based discrimination and ensure the health and well-being of all persons. In conclusion, we invite everyone watching this video to inform themselves about racism and discrimination, so that we can stop having stereotypes about other people that are different than us.